Okay, so the question that I chose to react to is why does Huck continue to pity the Duke and the Dauphin, and what can we infer about Huck based on his response? Now, I think it's pretty obvious in the text that Huck is fundamentally a decent person. He's just a child. His decency is often childlike, but it's also often very sophisticated. Um, and nuance, especially like his attitude towards Jim and people of ill repute that he comes across. Now, he certainly has reasons that he could be cynical and uncaring about people, but he does have a mostly sunny disposition and a pretty good view of people. And this is really impressive considering how badly he was treated by his father. But now Huck is also a scoundrel, and he's a scoundrel when he needs to be. He lies. He manipulates people. There are so many lies in this book, so many stories that he tells, and every time we come across one of these, I wonder, is it really possible that any child could make up such intricate stories? He dressed up like a girl to infiltrate this town or this house and gain this woman's confidence and get information. He steals food from farmers and even faked his own death, which is like the granddaddy of all lies. I mean, that's amazing. So, um, although he's a decent person, he's also, like I said, a scoundrel. Now, Huck knows in relation and to the Duke and Dauphin, he knows that not only do these two gentlemen actually know each other, that they lied about saying they were strangers, but he also knows that they're liars, that they're not really royalty, and that they're con men, and I think scallywags or whatever they refer to them in the book. But he goes along with their fabrication, and he humors them. Um, so I'll read from chapter 19 on page 167 in the book. Sorry, I gotta scroll here. It didn't take me long to make up my mind that these liars weren't no kings nor dukes at all, but just low down humbugs and frauds. But I never said nothing. I never let on, kept it to myself. It's the best way. Then you don't have no quarrels, and you don't get into no trouble. If you wanted us to keep if they wanted us to keep calling them kings and dukes, I had no objections, long as it would keep peace in the family. Keep peace in the family. I think it's a very important line when it comes to Huck. Is this something that he's learned in his life from dealing with his father, living with a widow, who obviously had her own views of how he should behave? Just keep calm and keep the peace. Don't cause any trouble. It makes life a lot easier. We know from previous chapters that he supplied Pap with money so he could get liquor to keep him quiet. So even though Huck does do things that were technically bad, I think there is a limit to what he is comfortable with. I don't think he likes to cause harm to people. It's one thing to lie or manipulate people to get a little food or to get some information or for fun to prank somebody, but to actually cause harm or to actually hurt somebody, I think goes beyond the pale with Huck. It doesn't set right with him. Now, when the Dauphin and the Duke pretend to be the Wilkes brothers to prey on a family's grief and to steal their money, Huck says on page 190, it was enough to make a body ashamed of the human race. And that's a really big statement, I think. Ashamed of the entire race. These people are, is this what we are? Is this how we treat each other? This is a sad time for this family, and these people are going to cannibalize it. And he recognizes that. He knows it's wrong. So why does he feel bad? Why does Huck feel bad when the Duke and the Dauphin are tarred and feathered? He's the one that ratted them out, after all, and this is justice happening right there in front of him. But somehow it's too much for him, too much for his conscience. And again, is this because this actual harm is happening? Physical harm, the humiliation, the degradation of it, the trouble that it's caused, the uproar. It's one thing to lie and cheat. Sorry, I got interrupted. So why does he feel bad when the Duke and Dauphin are tarred and feathered. Again, I think it's because it causes a lot of hubbub. It causes actual pain. It causes actual humiliation. There are real consequences to what's happening. Um, or does he wonder, maybe, if he's not so dissimilar from these two gentlemen after all? I mean, they lie and they cheat and they steal, and as we've discussed already, so does Huck. Now, it's not on such a grand level, or as the Duke of Dauphin do, but will it become that way someday? You know, is this maybe his future that he's looking at if he doesn't clean up his act, if he doesn't stop with his fun adventures and manipulating people? He admits after the tarring and feathering from chapter 33, page 233. I weren't feeling so brash as I was before, but kind of ornery and humble and to blame. Somehow, although I hadn't done anything, but that's always the way. It don't make no difference whether you do the right or wrong. A person's conscience ain't got no sense, and it just goes for him anyway. And I think it's really interesting because he's almost kind of talking about his conscience as if it's another character. It's like a person that lives inside of him, and you really get the feeling that this conscience is something that he has argued with before. And I think probably the conscience usually wins. I think we can infer, like I said, that Huck is a decent person at heart. Um, he's off on adventures, and he's a little bit of a scoundrel, but he doesn't really want to hurt anybody. And I think he'll probably grow up someday. Thank you.